G'day guys, welcome to SuperCoach with DR and welcome to my round 5 review. Look, it was a round where a couple of young guns went down, some underperforming primos bounced back, others continued their disappointing run. We also saw the emergence of a couple of other players due to some more responsibility and some more time on ground, but overall it was a pretty tough round for many coaches, some fielding defensive donuts, some disappointing scores from the likes of Buderick and Brown, but I think if you managed to hit the 2000 mark, you had a pretty successful round. Look, what did I learn? I learned that I need Max Gawn in ASAP. Ridley was a terrible miss, and I think it's also going to be tough to finish the season with a full primo side because we've had to do some sideways trades with injuries. I know that there are less rounds this year. We still had those 30 trades, but I think that it will be tough to get to that ideal side that we're used to getting to probably just after the bye round. But for me, I avoided most of the carnage. Obviously, copped the rail injury, which I think almost 80% of sides did. But I scored 20-33. Total score now of 10,535. Went up a couple of thousand spots in the rankings and now find myself inside the top 5k overall, which is pretty handy, I think, at this stage of the year. And my aim within the next month is to try to push towards the top 2k. But anything can happen during that time, we know that. So let's have a look at the team. Before I do, I'll just quickly take you through some of the trade options that I was looking at for last week. At the start of the week before team announcements, I was basically looking at getting Zerk Thatcher out along with Brayshaw, which I'm lucky I didn't do now, and I was going to get Hill and Haynes into the side. So I really wanted to get another premium defender there. I like the look of Haynes being a pod. A little bit worried that Davis was going to be out. He wasn't out in the end. And as we saw, Haynes absolutely smashed it. So that would have been an okay trade to get Haynes in, but would have been shattered that I got Brayshaw out. Then it was going to be Piggott to Sarong and Naismith to Cherry, and then just bank some coin. Then I thought when the teams were announced, Noble and Brander were both out. I thought, okay, I'll get in Ridley and Williamson, but went against that in the end. Decided to play it what I call, I suppose, a little bit safe. So I ended up trading out Pickett to Hill. I did have Brander in the defensive line, and so I ended up switching him up forward, which then allowed me to get Max King's score of an 86 for an emergency. So I basically, took Pickett out, DPP'd Brayshaw in there, as I said, swung Brander up and got Hill in. So it was a bit of a tactical move as well because so many people have been copying these injuries, such as your Howe and your Fifes. And as I said before, doing so many sideways trades. And one of my aims during the past couple of weeks was to try to bank a trade. So I decided, to do that. I banked the extra trade just for a rainy day because I'm planning to go pretty aggressive over the next couple of weeks. And we know what can happen injury-wise. So I'm leaving that little Naismith nest egg on my Ruck bench, and I'll break the R3 piggy bank most likely in the next couple of weeks for an upgrade. So, how did the side go? Doherty, nothing like last week, but if 89's a bad game, I think that's a good sign. For me, Sicily and Duday basically swapped scores from last week, so I think Sicily was in the 120s maybe. Duday, I think, got 49, so they basically switched roles. So the reason why I got Duday in a couple of weeks ago was that I thought he was the cheapest intercept defender that's best 22 for their side. So that was the reasoning behind getting him in. Had a really poor week last week, but really bounced back this week. Really impressed with that. And he saved me from going under the 2k mark, I think, this week. Stas, not a great score, but his best 22. I'll keep on to him. Apart from round one, some pretty solid scores. Hill's a man that I brought in, was on 31, I think, after quarter time, and then just absolutely fizzled out of the game, which wasn't great for me. Pretty disappointing. Rivers, I didn't think he was even going to get close to a 45-50 mark, but got there in the end, which was handy. But ideally, you'd like to see a 60 plus. Can't complain too much, though. Two bench players didn't play. Neil just continues to dominate, doesn't he? He's unreal, this bloke. Look, he'll come up against the De Boer tag, not next week, but the week after, so maybe a pretty poor score coming up there. But he's just been such a terrific selection and has really improved from last season. Cripps, pretty solid there, 116, can't complain. McRae, geez, I paid up for this bloke expecting 100 plus scores basically every week. That's not happening at the moment. I won't be trading him out. He'll be in my team till the end of the year because we can't afford to be trading out blokes like McRae unless they're injured, of course. But yeah, disappointing, but Yeah, I didn't actually watch the game because my eyes were glued, obviously, to the Brisbane Port game. So I'll have to rewatch that and see exactly what happened there with McRae. Danger, 104. To be honest, maybe a bit biased because I own him, but I thought he deserved a little bit more than 104. But compared to someone like a Bont, not a disaster. Viney, I ideally would have loved to trade him out last week, but given the fact that he's got that double game coming up, as I said, we can't afford to trade too many of these sorts of blokes, and sideways them. But ideally, he'll be out of my side by the end of the season, but he may have to stay in if I run out of trades. Real, we all know what happened with him. I think he'll have to go. Brayshaw, this was the bloke I was referring to when I was talking about the start of the video, more responsibility and more time on ground. It's amazing what this can do for a player, and Brayshaw really, really stepped up. I was going to trade him, as I said at the start of the week, for someone like a Haynes, but I thought, given the fact that Fife is out, I'm going to give this bloke another opportunity to show me what he can do when he's got that responsibility, and he smashed it out of the park, absolutely wrapped. Thank you very much for showing some of the faith, Andy. Dev Smith, well, he's gone 105, 105, 70, 70. Hopefully he doesn't drop another 35 average and go 35, 35. But I think we can, lock him in for possibly an F6 there. And you will notice that I have got a few of these guys in my midfield at the moment. I do have an abundance of forwards there. And I'm also looking to get Whitfield in as well. But I'll explain the reasoning behind that a little bit later. Rookies, they are. I think we'll have to get Brown out this week, losing too much money. Heard he did well in the scratch match, Ben, also hoping that he comes back in sooner rather than later. Naismith didn't play. Grundy, back to his best at 151, took the VC there. And Pitney, he's gone backwards, but at the price that we paid, still wrapped with that selection, but I'll be looking to move him to Gorn, not this week, but hopefully next week, and I'll talk about my trade plans in a minute. Simpkin, absolutely love this guy again. I think Cunnington is out for next week by the looks of things. So, wrapped with that. More responsibility in the midfield, as we know. Anything close to 100 from your forwards, I think we take. Petrarca, amazingly, I'm actually a little bit disappointed with this score. You'd think 111 from Truck, why disappointed? Well, after his first quarter on the weekend, I hadn't seen a bloke dominated quarter like that in a long time. I thought it was pretty ripped off for only a quarter time score of 50 odd. I thought that could have been closer to a 70, but we can't complain too much in the end with the 111, but what could have been with that score. Dusty with a 93. Look, I've had the binoculars on him for the last couple of weeks, just monitoring his form. Wasn't a great game from Dusty, but, a nice goal there with a contested mark certainly helped his score out a bit. Segler, I am worried with this pick. I would love to move him on because his next couple of weeks do not look rosy. What's his role now? I'm not too sure either. Do they play him up forward? I'm not too sure. Ideally, they'd love to have McAvoy up forward and in the ruck, I think, after his performance last week. But I'm hoping, given the fact that Big Boy did really present a good target up forward with Lewis out now, that he'll be played forward and Segler will still keep his role in the ruck, but still coming up against some tough opponents. I don't think he'll be scoring well in the next couple of weeks, unfortunately. Taylor, he was probably on the chopping block for Whitfield this week, but given the fact he's got 100, I'm keeping him for another couple of weeks and then probably looking to trade him out after that. Brander, I'm not too sure on his hip injury, so I'm not too sure how severe it is, but hopefully he's back again sooner rather than later. We may have to trade him out. King, wrapped with this score. Didn't think he'd have too many 70s to 80s in him, but we've seen two of these scores so far this year, which I'm really, really happy with. And again, he was someone that could have been on the chopping block, but we'll keep on him for another couple of weeks now. Sturt, can't even believe that this guy played. Lots of people traded him out because he was apparently out for 6 weeks with his ankle injury. But he scored really well for a 74, and I actually really like the look of this bloke as well. I don't think he has to necessarily kick goals to score well. I think he's a pretty good link-up target, Sturt there as well. So, what are my trades for this week? Well, I've got 120k left in the bank. And look, as I said in last week's review and stock market videos, we really need to plan ahead and look at future trades. So my advice is to create a Word document, put in all your current primos, and then fill the remaining best 22 spaces with the blokes that you can realistically finish the season with. That's why I've had the binoculars on players in the stock market videos, such as your Whitfields, Lloyds. I've mentioned Elliot Yeo for the last couple of weeks, who may be an option that we can look at now. But I'm sure that factors such as injury, team selection may halt or even wipe your plans. But I've got a couple I'm looking at. So I've got a 3-week block that I'm looking at. First plan could be to go out Rowell and Tyler Brown in Ridley and Jones from Hawthorn, and lots of this is via some DPP. And then next week you'd go Noble and Naismith out for maybe a Whitfield and Combin. I still think Whitfield will be cheap enough there. And then the third week I'd get rid of Taylor and Pitney and get in Gawn and a forward rookie. Or the other plan is, and it's pretty similar, but this week you'd go out Rao and Brown, get in Whitfield and Jones or Jake Arts. Is it Jake Arts? I'm not too sure. The forward from Richmond. Next week, you get out Naismith, Pitney, bring in Combin and Gawn. And then in the third week, you'd get out Taylor and Taylor and a rookie and upgrade in defence. So go down from Taylor to a rookie and try to upgrade in defence. But yeah, if I go the second option, I do miss out on Ridley, but I get Gawn in sooner rather than later. So that's the decision that I've got to make. And the other thing, if I get Ridley in this week, is that I do have to pay up a little bit more, most likely, for Whitfield next week. So that's a decision that I've got to make this week. But I'll have a look at all the break-evens. Remember, I will have the SuperCoach stock market video coming out for this round in the next couple of days. Make sure you check that out to do some research on some of your numbers. I will have those new badges such as your pods, your buy nows, your sell, and those guys to keep on your watch list as always. So again, guys, hope that your round went well, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Cheers, guys. Bye.